James Garner went in at right back instead of Jake O'Brien, and obviously Tim Edinburgh replaced James Garner in the middle. So what did you make of those positions? Because obviously there's been heavy debate prior to the Fulham game of whether Moyes shouldn't he stick with the same team. I think we were all in a little bit of agreement that some change should be made just to freshen things up a little bit, and he did do that.
Yeah. Well, he made one personnel change, didn't he? And I actually thought probably the biggest decision he made was keeping Tierney Barry in the starting lineup after the highs and lows that he experienced against Sunderland on the Monday when he did start that game very well, and obviously had that miss and it all went downhill from there. So yeah, like I think for me, I expect him to keep it relatively similar. Because it felt like almost that there was going to be that certainly that attacking midfield free, and some of the defensive things. I kind of thought they might all get one more chance just to see what they could do before the international break, and if it hasn't worked, then you can explore things. I think where I think Everton where I think things have been problematic for Everton over recent weeks hasn't really been in the starting lineup. It's so much. And I stress there are very obvious limitations within that starting lineup. I'm just saying there aren't all obvious solutions in that squad. Yeah, we could be getting more from left back, could be getting more from right back, could be getting more from centre midfield, could be getting more from up front. Some of those places, they have options that I think Moyes probably should have explored more from the bench. I think that's where it was. I think actually, I was thinking about this going into the game. Since Liverpool, when they lost that game with the way they started that match in the first 20 minutes, we all saw the second half and gave Liverpool a really good go. And you just think if they'd have started the first half like that. I actually think Everton have been, and I think Everton have started games really well for most of the season. Should have got the lead against Aston Villa. They probably should have scored against Tottenham Hotspur, could have scored twice against Man City, got an early goal against Sunderland, should have got a second, got a relatively early goal against West Ham and were on top of that game. The real problem has been what happens when the momentum goes against them, and then just like a complete struggle to wrestle any kind of control and initiative back. We saw it happen after half an hour against Sunderland, and there was no way back. So that was more what happens after in the second half after the hours could be my question mark. I was a bit surprised by the start. I was surprised to see Tim Robin come in. And the question really is with James Garner over Jake O'Brien at right back. I think that we've all been saying for ages that it's an obvious area of improvement in terms of what you can get from right back. The problem has been, and we saw this at the very start of the season, what you then lose in the middle of the pitch if you take James Garner out of it. I think we saw Tim Robin start against Leeds and start against Brighton and struggle a little bit. He doesn't quite have that same, obviously he's still a young player. He doesn't quite have that level of positional discipline, I think, and sometimes he's really good in moments like, say for instance, I thought he did really well when he came on at Sunderland, when the game gets a bit stretched and a bit end-to-end, and he can make those great kind of sliding tackles with his long legs, or he can carry the ball forward and turn the defence into attack. That's when you get the benefit from it. So I was surprised to see him in the starting lineup on Saturday, but I thought he did pretty well. And I thought that fair play to Moyes for changing it up. We obviously saw the benefit from Garner at right back. Still got done a few times, but Kevin is a good player. And again, it's not that Garner isn't an obvious improvement on O'Brien at right back. It's just that there's still limitations, even if you only got Garner there, which is why. So I mean, it was an interesting move. Obviously, it was vindicated. But Tierney Barry sticking with him was the big one for me, because it would have been very easy to have chopped and changed again. To show faith in him. And I thought that, in fairness, and built my match report around it, it's just probably, I think my match report was basically, this was an important 3 points, but the biggest victory was the progress they'd made in the search for a striker, because Beto and Barry have just struggled, haven't they? Not just with the goals, but they struggled to lead the front line over the course of the season so far. And I thought Tierney Barry did really well. And, obviously that shows a degree of maturity and courage to have done that after the setback in midweek, and I thought he was a handful. Didn't get the goal he deserved, but I thought he deserved the ovation that he got, and hopefully that is, maybe he hasn't got a goal to kickstart his Everton career, but hopefully that's the performance that sets him on his way.
Well, we'll come on to Tierney Barry even further, do a bit of a deep dive on him and the striker situation, I guess, overall. But Chris, I mean, sticking with the right back situation and James Garner going in for Jake O'Brien. I mean, a lot of us, including long-time fan of the show, Emma, who aptly reminded me on Saturday's show that we were all calling for it. he goes in. What did you make of that, and what benefits did you think that Garner gave on that right hand side? Obviously, got from an attacker point of view, surely.
Yeah. So just on the other point of that move as well, as we've just had a comment up there, people saying about the pace and energy that Irobenham brings to, and Brian Burns at the start said that he felt Tim Irobenham hasn't been getting the praise that he feels he deserved. He said he gave the ball away a couple of times. He said, but who doesn't? But he so getting a lot of love for Irobenham as well. But in terms of James Garner, it is an interesting one because we say he's not a right back, and I was doing Michael Ball's column earlier with Michael, and he said it was quite obvious for all the plus points with James Garner coming in. He's not a right back, but then now it was Jake O'Brien. That's the problem, isn't it? You've got either a central midfielder in there or a centre half. So he's got the composure on the ball, but I just wonder whether it'd be one that David Moyes sorts of picks and chooses with. I did a piece on the analysis on Sunday when we're talking about, is he coming almost like a new Phil Neville for Moyes, in that he can move him around and play off his versatility. He's a lot better technical player, I think, than Neville. He's better on the ball, so that's good. But yeah, I do wonder in the middle though. It's not so much. I don't think James Garner can play right back. It's kind of what alluding to what Joe has already said. Is what do you lose when he's not there? So maybe it'll be the one where when you're at home to Fulham, he can do it. Obviously, Manchester United away next is quite a different sort of challenge. So I do wonder whether he'll be back in the middle for that one. So it'll be interesting to see how Moyes plays it going forward. But I certainly think it can work at certain times. But it's how much you're losing in the middle. Because to be fair, he did a job at left back when he played there as well. He didn't let anybody down on that side. But it's just what you lose from him in that engine room when he is at full back.
Yeah, I mean, just on Irobenham as well. I thought he did okay on Saturday, Joe, but I do think it seems to be a running theme with him that he does fade during games. And obviously, I think Chris alluded to there at one of the comments, said that he did give the ball away once or twice. And then obviously Moyes did take him off. It was Roll, wasn't it, who came on for him? So you can understand why that was the case. I mean, Roll came on, I thought he did okay, but I think he gave the ball away at one point, didn't he, as well? So it's whether, it might be too early to assess at this moment in time, but it's whether Tim Irobenham has done enough in Moyes' eyes to keep that position in the midfield. That could be a key factor in whether James Garner plays on the right-hand side of the defence or Jake O'Brien comes back in. I think, just for me, just from an overall balance view, from an attacking point of view, James Garner probably should stay in there for me. I get the calls for, well, if you play Jake O'Brien there, he's going to give you that defensive solidity. But there has been times and occasions, and this is not an overall criticism of Jake O'Brien, but he has been caught out a little bit. Certainly the West Ham game, I think he had a tough second half, didn't he? And he's been targeted a number of times where, James Garner, definitely Fulham got in a couple of times, but my point of view, or from my opinion, the best form of defence is attack, and that's what he gave Everton on Saturday.
Yeah, they certainly were far more balanced. I think the real solution is, and we said this all summer, is go and actually buy a right back.
Yeah.